I'm going to teach you how to start with Adobe XD kind of in the context of the project that we're doing in class this term. So Adobe XD is a relatively new program for Adobe. It's only been out a few years, and the idea behind it is you kind of can do real-time prototyping using the sorts of things for iPhone, iPad, web, Android phones. It does kind of go a little bit more towards, the Apple school of products, but there is other stuff available, and you can just choose, your screen resolutions and your size with a custom size, looking it up online, okay? So it's available through your Creative Cloud membership. So if you go up to the top right of your screen, you can see it. It's usually right there. You download it and put it in. If you don't have this up the top, you can always go into your Finder, go into your applications, and then go through there into Creative Cloud, and it'll bring it up through there, okay? So what we want to do is, the first thing we want to do is choose a canvas size based on the phone that you have or that you're going to be prototyping it on. So I, for example, have an iPhone 11 with me right now, so I'm just going to choose an iPhone. Well, I'll go with an iPhone 11 here, okay? And then when I click into that, it gives me this Adobe setup. And right now what you'll see is it's saving through the cloud, which is good, because what you can do with Adobe XD that's a nice little interesting thing is you can do live previews on your phone through a cloud system. But I can rename it whatever I want. And so for a student, they've asked me to do a makeup brand today, so I'm going to go with Sephora. I think they were doing Mecca, so I don't do exactly the same thing, All right, so here we are in our pages, and I haven't used Adobe XD that much, so don't quote me on any of the things that I say, but the way that I've always kind of done new folders is by new tiles is just by clicking on the top and copying and pasting. So you can go and take your artboards, you can drag them out to all of that sort of stuff. So if you go down and pull down, what you're actually doing is creating sort of a scrolling bar here. So if I put, let's say, a square of whatever reason, and I can fill it in, make it red. If I'm interested as well in creating sort of like a tablet buttony sort of thing, I can always, like most Adobe programs, drag that in there, okay? So if I press play, it'll bring me this, which is my screen, and I can go in and click and drag just like I would, with my finger, and that is then available for me to do. Now, if you've got an iPhone, and I'm not sure if there's an app for Android, you can download the Adobe XD app, and then when you do that, if you click onto this phone here, so you can do it for Android. You can plug it in via USB, and then you can real-time prototype as long as you have the app on your computer. So why would that be useful? Well, you can instantly test how the app's going to look, because it does look very different on this screen, and even like this, it's hard to tell what it looks like in the context of your phone. So anyway, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to push this page back up to get started, and I'm going to look at what I've got here. So I've got to find a folder here, just on my desktop that I've called a Sephora demo, whatever it is, okay? So I've got a bunch of logos and screenshots that I've just taken off the internet. So for the context of this project, you don't really have to design all your assets and go out there and take photographs of makeup products and stuff like that. It's fine. What you can do is just take some nice screenshots at high resolution, if possible, of the various products. And so for me, I found a nice copy of the Sephora logo. I've got, a bunch of different pages that I'm going to take parts of and sort of place them and paste them in. So I'd like you, if you could, to save your files to a folder rather than just going in and copying and pasting. You can copy and paste in Adobe XD, so you could just go onto the internet, right click, or Command C or Command V or whatever it is. But I'd really prefer if you would right click and save the images, because that way you won't lose them. You can link to them in the best possible way. I'm pretty sure Adobe XD allows, it doesn't allow a place as far as I can see, but if later on we're going to be using programs like InDesign, you really need to sort of develop that moving within placing assets and things of that nature, or when we start using After Effects, you're going to need to do that stuff as well. Okay, so what I've got here then is I've got a logo. So I can double click that, bring it up, Command A, Command C to copy it, and I can paste it in there. So what we see is we've got a file here and I have pasted it onto this artboard. So if instead I select this one, paste it onto here, I can see what I like here. So I could mark this image for export, and it's going to automatically make them available to download later, but it should be automatic. So if I want to crop in this program, I'm just trying to think of how I do it because it's been a little while since I've used this. Okay, so that's an artboard, so we don't want to deal with that. And I'm sure it's on the screen right now and someone's yelling at me, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'll work it out in a second. Otherwise, I can, in fact, just leave it like that, which is nice. So if I'm going to start off on my front page, I'm going to have a nice little logo just in the middle of the page looking nice and classy. I don't want the white background. So I can do a couple of things. I can go into my actual artboard controls and change the fill to black, or I could make a rectangle behind it, but I'm going to go with black here, all right? So what I want to do is I want from it to go to this page in after a couple of seconds. So it's got like kind of that splash, and then it goes to the next page where the actual website is. So what I can do is I can go from the design section here to the prototyping section. Now this is where the interesting part about Adobe XD kind of starts happening. So if I click on a tile, I can see this little arrow comes up. Now I can link this to here. So what this is currently set to do is set to tap. So if I test it, I click, it taps. And I can do a dissolve transition. I could do a, let's try slide left transition, like that. And I think that's quite nice. And I can make the duration of that go for longer. So I could say I could set it to 1 second. When I click, it does it. I think that looks really pretty. But what I want to do is I want to have that set to happen after a certain amount of time. So I can go into my trigger here. I could set it to be that it only goes when you drag. I could set it when you press a key. I could even set it to do some sort of Siri or whatever the Android version is voice command. I'm going to set it up to time. So I'm going to say there's going to be a delay when you start of 0.6 of a second. And then when I press play, it stays for a second and then it goes. Now I maybe want to put a little bit more than that. Can I do 2 seconds? Okay, let's see what I can do. I can definitely do 1 second. So when it starts, yeah. And you know what? I think 1 second is enough. But I don't need to do a slide. I don't need to do anything. I could just have it, sort of fade, push left, push up, slide up, all of those sorts of things, or just dissolve. And dissolve can be nice. So dissolve is just that, and I think maybe that's a little bit classy. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and show you some of the things that I got online, okay? So the great thing about XD is there's just hundreds of free template kits that people have put together. So there's lots of websites that do it, but I like to use XD Guru. It's what I've been using for a few years. I'm sure there's plenty of other ones that are free out there. And so you can go in there and you can search by, UI kits and resources. You get free UI kits. There's premium ones that you can pay for. There's some tutorials, community. It's pretty good, but I'm sure there's plenty of other options that are just as good. Look into free ones, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of things here that you might like to use as the base of what you're doing. So if you were doing a music application, you could click on this one, and it takes you through like a few little links to get it. So you go like get it now, and it'll take you to, okay, this will take you to a Behance page, so it'll take you to the designer's sort of portfolio page. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to find stuff on Behance, like a download link, but eventually you'll get it. So there you go, you click on that and it downloads the file, all right? So I'll just take you through. I'll see if I can download it without it taking me to too many things. All right, well, you would find it, you would download it, you'd do all of those things, but then I'll show you what I've already got. So yeah, download free. So once you download it, it comes into your downloads, you get something like this. So I looked at a Wallet mobile app, and what it'll do is it'll start up another Adobe XD page. And you can see I've got the two there, so I could just copy and paste across it. So what this shows me is I've got a login, and it's got some pictures, but I do not believe this has prototype links. Okay, it doesn't, so it's just pictures. But if you, for example, were really interested in taking the login and forget password, or like even this whole page, I could take this, I could move it across to here, I could paste it in, I've got it here. I can always expand things and things of that nature, so I could go in here and I could make everything bigger, or I could just take the parts that I want. So I could go, I want this, I'm going to put this into here, so I'll paste it into here. Now I don't need this anymore, but maybe I want to take this stuff up the top because I can click that on every page. It looks a bit fancy. Now I can delete this one, I don't want it anymore, and I take the Sephora logo or something of that nature. So if I look in my Find page, I believe I have a nice sort of blank Sephora logo from before, so I can copy and paste that in, and then I'll go into my design page so I can mess around with it. If I put this up here, I'm happy with that. If I look at what I've got, I've always got a bunch of stuff that I can move around. So I'm looking, so you notice that this is designed for a different phone. So it's going to be maybe potentially a little bit different, but you can always just go in and you can stretch things out in that nature. All right, so I can go in there, I can say login, forgot password, all of that sort of stuff. Now I may not want to have immediately from the first page a login screen. That could be a bit problematic, but I can always move stuff around in Adobe XD. So before, remember, I had this link, I can relink it to that page, and then it'll do what I want, and I can break a link by just moving it there. Okay, so if I move into this page in the design mode again, I can look at it, I can see that black, I don't want black, I want it to be white now, okay? Or I could even go, let's see, can I get this nice background from here? Yes, I can, okay. So what they've done is they've put sort of a little wavy thing, okay, and this shows me something that I could do now that might be really cool. So I can make something into a group using the repeat grids here. So I believe this is currently a repeat grid, but I can pull this out and I can make some pictures repeat and stuff. So say if I've got, as an example, a box here, okay, a box, and we'll make this a red box so you can see it, and I'll make it look like, a little sort of app container. I can click on it and I can turn this into a repeat grid. And now when I drag it, it's going to give me all of these things here. Now, the great thing about this, I'm pretty sure if I go in and do this, yep, it does it to every single one at once. So you can see how that would be easy for making things a little bit quicker for you. And if I change the fill of it, it changes everything. So it's nice and quick and easy for me to do those changes that I need for later. So definitely very cool. I can also go in and I can put sort of a shadow underneath, and I can change the pixels and the color of all those sorts of things. So I don't know, maybe I could put a shadow there. I'm not really sure what you would use that for, but it's there. I can also do like a background blur to kind of make things sort of stick out and get things looking a bit fancy. All right. So like I'm saying, there's lots of ways that you can very quickly add some really interesting things here, okay? So if I am creating a background, I might put, for every page, I might put Sephora up in, I don't know, the corner like that. I'm going to take this part and I'm just copying and pasting everything here. So I want Sephora to be in the middle here. It's nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, like, I don't know, a black line here. I've got, so I can go in there, I can change the size of it, and I'm liking the way this looks. I think it looks quite nice, but at the moment it doesn't really look like an app because we don't have those sorts of icons that we commonly associate with apps, at least in 2020. I don't know when you're watching this. So I can go in and open this materials icons page that I downloaded before, and I got that from XD Guru again. And these are all open source icons, and I can go in and choose any of these that I want. So this bookmark icon might look good, and I can go and drag that in, and I can put that there, and I can increase the size if I need to. I probably don't want to do it too much, but let's say I go here and I put this down the bottom. So now it's like my saved items, and I might want to go in as well. And where did I put that? So I really should have things in tabs, but that's okay. I don't know, file, hardware, images, maps, navigation, social. So, I could put you could put like an Instagram logo or something of that nature. You could do some location things, so like delivery. So that would be very useful now, especially with shops being closed. We could go in and pick some stuff that's beauty centric or shopping centric, or like a little heart. So let's say you wanted, as an example, to make an icon that's like you love something. All right. So the nice thing about this is we could create some prototyping, and we could create this to link, and I could even go something. I mean, it's a little repetitive, but I could get I could go into this icon. It's like, can I redesign this icon? Let's have a look. No. So what I'll do is I'll just grab that other one that I so foolishly got rid of before. Where's he gone? Yes. So if I take this one and I paste it in, and I'm sorry guys, it's early and I'm not thinking at the moment. Give me a moment. I'm gonna just grab both of these. Okay, so if I grab this one, I grab this one, I put them in, I go and make them the same size. I'm gonna increase, I'll go back into design mode, that'll make things easier, of course. I lay them on top of each other. Then I am going to take this page, I'm going to do this, I'm going to delete this one. Then what I'm going to do is go back into prototyping mode. When I click just on this button, I'm going to take it to that page. When I link on this one, I'm going to take it to that page, and that's going to be a tap transition. Then what I could do is I can go to this page here, and I can go, all right, so when I click on this button, it fades in. So you can see, you could set up any number of things. So you could say like, love this item, save for later, just by having two pages where there's a difference in this image and linking back and having them being tap transitions. Okay, so if I wanted then to go in and take, let's say, this line of content, so can I do a partial copy? Let's see, I have not used, yep, I can, or I could put in the entire image if I wanted to do it that way. So I could go in Command A, Command V, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to paste this in here for now. I'm going to pull it off to the side because I don't want to deal with it. Make another screen here. So this is here, this is good. I can go into here into the design mode. The nice thing about Adobe XD is it won't let me sort of mess around with the way that I'm not going to be stretching anything. Let's just say that it's still early in the morning, guys. All right. So if I've got this here, I can go in and what I could do is I could make it so it's like this, so it's a little bit more app-like, so I could go in here and I could do like a repeat grid, and I could go into Photoshop and I could get my images looking actually nice. That would be the best way to do it, but I'm just showing you a little rushed, lazy way to do things. Okay, so if I pull this down like this, then I can go in, and when I look at my page, so there's currently no way to get to that page, but let's say I have this one here. I want to take my icon and I'm going to pick this one because I kind of got it sorted out in that way. So I'll close my windows because I'm being just ridiculous right now. I can't even think. I've got the picture of the full file here. I want to just take this one. So no, I don't need that one. I need this one. Okay. So I could take just this image here and I could copy this. Okay. And then I could paste this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and create like a sort of, what would you call this? I'm going to create a product page. So I'm going to delete this bit I don't need. I'm going to take and delete this bit I don't need. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to show you how to create like a little menu bar down the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here. I'm going to call this, I don't know, let's just do this color just for the sake of it, okay? And now if I click fix position while scrolling on that, that should by all means stay. I also want to keep obviously this stuff up the top. So I'll fix position when scrolling as well. And then when I look at this image, okay, well that didn't, okay, so the reason why that's not working is because this stuff is not in front of the layer. So if I just go in and I go and select it and bring this to the front, then I have this layer selected, hit play, then it goes in front. And so you could create a white rectangle or whatever it is that you like on there. And remember, you would also have to fix position while scrolling on this little button here because that's scrolling at the moment. And then we get, you know, that classic sort of app scroll with your finger thing. And if you tested this out on iPad or whatever, or iPhone, you would actually get the proper scrolling. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go in and I'm going to just estimate what this like roll over or click on finger to zoom in thing is like. So you know when you go on a website and it's always like you get that sort of thing. Now the thing to remember about Adobe XD is it's not a web making app. It is a prototyping app. So it doesn't really work properly as a proper app. You can't output it as an app, you know, take it to the App Store exactly from an XD file at the moment. But what you can do is you can export out this code to a developer who would then have the images that they need to put it into Xcode or whatever it is that you're using, and they'd be able to, you know, sort of make it look a little bit nicer for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, I'm going to go to tap transition, I'm going to go to dissolve, and then I'm going to pull this transition back to this one on a tap. And then if I play this, you might hopefully get that sort of, you know, when you zoom in and it's annoying. But you want to be using a better quality image than that because I've increased the size of it. It's pixelated, so we won't do it for now, all right? But what I can do is I can take in that, I can take in my other information that I've got off preview. I can put this in, you know, details, ingredients about the brand, shipping items, add to basket, and then I could go in and find an XD Guru sort of like a money app, and then I'd be able to do things with that. But essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to create an app that takes someone through the shopping experience, okay? So does Sephora already have an app? Possibly, but you're trying to create one that's a little bit new, a little bit more streamlined, a little bit better if you can. So maybe you want to start from an actual existing template. That's totally fine. So you could find one online. So this one here, I thought might work well for Sephora. It was a free one, but this one is a shoe one, okay? So if we go in through here, if I can find, let's see, okay, so let's start off with our first page here. Let's look to see, okay, so it doesn't look like there's any sort of transition prototyping in here, but you could build that in. So if we go in once again, we prototype to here, we change it to be a, okay, so it's not gonna let me do a time one, but that's okay. I could do a tap. So when I tap on it, it takes me to the next screen. So a fun way to, you know, we can go through here, but like, okay, so if I've got this, I can always just take this across, and hopefully, okay, so with this one as an example, they've just done straight pictures. I'm pretty sure I'm in prototype. Of course I'm in prototyping mode. I'm always in prototyping mode because I'm not even thinking. All right, but if I, as an example, take out, I can keep clicking in and I can see what I get because I can see it's all grouped. I can take out lady from here. I could go across to here. I can pull Sephora from there. I can put that in here. You know, there's my beautiful Sephora app that I've created. And, you know, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add in all of my personalization and everything, but that's totally okay at this time. What we're looking at is how we can improve the site, how we can, you know, make it better. And so we can see our individual images there. So obviously what they've done is they have created sort of a clipping mask by creating an image that's bigger than it and then pasting it into a box. So that's me remembering now, lovely, how you do it. So if I go into design mode, I create a box of whatever size and shape, and then I take my massive image, I click into it, I paste it within that. Then, yeah, So if you have any questions, ask me. I'm sorry that this wasn't the best video. I'm sorry that it dragged on a little bit. But I hope this helps you with making your app in Adobe XD. And good luck, everyone.